Where does the art sit? The art sits in all of it. It's the centerpiece of my life. The different types of art revolve around that. I was in New York at 17 and a half, working out what trains were and how to get up on a train and get access. And, you know, we were on the shoulder of giants. 40 years of my life has been spent executing, following my heroes, the Lee Quignons, the Futuras of this world. I think that whole element to life reflects on what I do now. I feel that this particular love affair with the art, people forget my music would not sound the same as what it does now if it wasn't for the layers of the art. And I think that the arrow collection, especially with what arrows mean to graffiti writers, is like a full stop or an exclamation mark. It's direction. This is just concentrating on one area that we're zooming into and saying, if this street art was to be hypered and polished and put into cubism and laid into a square format of 100 by 100, it's almost like a snapshot of what graphic perfection could be on its take in the art. Well, this would be it.
Goldie, welcome to Woodbury House.
Yeah.
Great to have you on board. Very much looking forward to working with you, sir, and looking forward to this mini interview.
Yeah, finally back. I mean, we were here last year.
Yeah.
We spoke about, you know, representation of where the art should sit. I've always represented myself in that respect, and I think with so much projects going on, I felt that you guys, you know, Lewis in Thailand, who I've known and respect very well, looking after the art and having an outfit, if you like, a good set of people that are really about the art, and of course the longevity of Woodbury House post-COVID and before COVID, and surviving in these very tumultuous times as far as art's concerned. I thought it was very important to place the stuff where it would be respected and balanced properly. But yeah, I mean, the collection came in this week, yesterday, 2 days ago?
Yeah. So before we go into the collection, love this work. I want to know about the process, the ideas, the thought, but you've worn loads of different hats during your lifetime. Music, acting, art. Where does painting, where does creating art sit within your life?
Where does the art sit? The art sits in all of it. It's the center. It's the centerpiece of my life. And the different types of art revolve around that. It's that weird question when people go, oh look, Goldie's doing art now. I've been doing art since I was 17. I was in New York at 17 and a half, working out what trains were and how to get up on a train and get access. And, you know, we were on the shoulder of giants. I'd first met Lee Quignons in Henry's studio at 17 and a half. You know, meeting Futura and meeting all of the other guys and Case 2 and all these great graffiti writers. And I think that whole element to life reflects on what I do now. I feel that this particular love affair with the art, people forget my music would not sound the same as what it does now if it wasn't for the layers of the art. Yeah. There's a lot of process with this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that the arrow collection, especially with what arrows mean to graffiti writers, it's like a full stop or an exclamation mark. It's direction. Where are we going? Where have we come from? What's the forward movement of where we're at? And arrows are synonymous with graffiti writers. Ramal Z was a very prolific writer who I've seen works that you've had from Ramal Z really early on. A lot of people missed out on the impact of this artist for a lot of us. But the arrows, and like Mayer, another prolific graffiti writer, Mayer had always said that every writer has his own arrow. And I think the direction of the arrows and the multiple recording, if you like, or the multiple painting of arrows is no different than the way that the Adidas shell toe was made in so many different ways.
Yeah.
The initial body of the shoe works and the shape was great, but how many colorways or stripes can we put on that? And I think I've executed that with the idea of sublime aspects to the work of shade and color. The idea of the Freudian aspects of the Cadbury's cream egg. You know, I look at the Cadbury's cream egg piece, it's like, it reminds me of that chocolate when I was a kid. Yeah. What a Cadbury's cream egg felt like. The Aztec idea of the original Goldie squiggles, which were on early pieces of my work. the portraiture stuff encapsulated within what's called the still life collection was part of a massive still life collection with the record label of photographing my work over 40 years. So I'm really happy with the aspects of these paintings, and especially with the idea of the finishing. You know, the idea of having like 15 layers of lacquer, you know, wrapped around a matte background. It's kind of how far we've come. You know, I came from a background of working in car garages and lacquering vehicles many times to create a kind of ceramic feel.
Yeah.
And especially when you're in a room, a home where you're walking past and you get the reflection of light.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important place to where the art's shown and how it reflects on your own life.
Yeah.
You know, and I think light plays such a role with how paintings are placed.
Yeah.
I wanted to capture that aspect of reflection and direction.
So you're a very well-travelled man. You've achieved so much in your life in loads of different sort of segments and different areas. My question to you is, how do you come up with concepts, narratives and ideas for your artwork?
At the end of every record that you make, composition, music-wise, I always say that the last 30 seconds or the last 30, 64 bars is the idea for the next record. In doing these ideas and the execution, any graffiti writer will tell you, we say, it's almost deemed the dirty word when you say graffiti, but we are graffiti writers. We come from a world. You can dress it up and call it street art. You can dress it up however you want to dress it up. But like Virgil said, you could have a crumpled can on a street and the floor and it's nothing. You put it into its right environment, it becomes a piece of art. It's still a crumpled can. We are still graffiti writers by default. But the ideas are a constant reflection of where I'm at. You know, I've just finished this album simultaneously with the second album, the Alpha Omega album, and now into this other album, which is called The Art of Simple Complexity. This is the art of simple complexity from the artistic side of that theory. And now you're going to hear a whole album where, as much as there's great songs and great songwriting, they sound like nostalgic and from the 90s, but they sound well delivered and simple. But there's a complexity to the background. Like taking these to get lacquered and taking the arrows off and getting them lacquered 15 times and placing them and wrapping the canvas around the arrow to then re-lacquer it. It's a lot of process for a simple outcome.
Yeah. So your style now, in comparison to when you first started, what do these two styles look like? How do they feel? And how have you morphed as an artist?
Well, I think that the arrows are always synonymous within the work. Even the work we did on the weekend in Bristol for a memorial wall, there's still the arrows that come out of the letter form. This is just concentrating on one area that we're zooming into and saying, if this street art was to be hypered and polished and put into cubism and laid into a square format of 100 by 100, it's almost like a snapshot of what graphic perfection could be on its take in the art. Well, this would be it. This is encapsulated. I wouldn't expect to roll into the street and turn a corner and this is stuck to the wall. It'd be nice, you know what I mean? But I think there's also artists that have done that, like Invader, when he's doing elaborate tiled work and sticking it somewhere. It's like, wow.
Incredible, yeah.
You know, the idea of being able to, that you can't get it off because he's got really good glue. The idea of poster art being put into billboards to change the narrative. We've already put I put 40 years into doing this graffiti work. 40 years of my life has been spent executing, following my heroes, the Lee Quignons, the Futuras of this world, Mode 2, all these great artists that have become friends over the years. And what was really pointed out to me was really important, I felt was very important, was a collector in Phuket came up to me. He came to my house for a viewing. He looked at the African work, which was Lost Tribes. We did Lost Tribes artwork right here at the Mead Carney Gallery 27 pieces of work. African headdresses, trailwinds, choppers, axes, bones, weapons that they'd used within their own tribal environment. You couldn't get one bit of press on that work because it was the fear of they're holding axes and it's Africans, and it all became a bit strange. And I felt at that point I was leaving the country, because sometimes when an artist is so far ahead with doing stuff, it becomes misconstrued and over their heads. And that was a body of work. And where an artist's work sits, you have to be patient enough to know it's too early for that. You've got to be able to retract, and you've got to be able to regather, and just allow a certain amount of work to go out in one's mind. Because the concepts are great, but sometimes the concepts can be way ahead.
Yeah.
I think that the idea of absurdicism, abstract, and the idea of presenting the work in a different way, and getting back to the point, what this art collector Kaplinski had said to me. He said, I love this African stuff, but it's very invasive in my mind. However, why have you never looked at your own work? You've been doing this for so long, and your work's been documented. Wouldn't it be good to kind of turn the camera on yourself and look at still life as a collection of work and what you do? And I was kind of slightly insulted, and then slightly thinking, yeah, why not? So I just turned my whole aspects around and started looking at my own work, the arrows, stuff that I've been doing for years that I never thought any worth in. And I think that's important, that the artist gets to study oneself.
Yeah. Getting to know you, seeing you on TV, seeing you DJ, acting, etc. You've got this energy about you, and you can see that energy in the paintings. Is that intentional? Is the vibrancy, the colours, the impact, is that all intentional?
It's kind of controlled chaos. It's like I looked at it when I looked at the arrow double, the yin and yang, like these colours aren't supposed to work together, but they do because of placement. And I think this music wasn't supposed to work because it's got all these attributes of jazz and rock and dubstep and rave music, and it's like it's all thrown into this pot. But the arrangement of it all, to the eye and to the ear especially, is how do you make it work and it sounds so sonically right? Well, I think that's what these paintings do. It's the idea of having a good palette of life. If you've had a good experience in life, then that can transform into a palette of colours for me.
Yeah.
It seems to work. The energy's there and the sharpness is there to keep me on the cutting edge, I think. I think that the squiggle work, which I call the Aztec work, which is the squares which roll into themselves, that's been part of my work since the beginning, in some shape or form. If you look at early, there's a very famous painting that Noel Gallagher got for his wedding. And he said, take it to Thailand, I'm getting a divorce, I don't want my wife to get it. It's a really famous painting. And it's arrows, and it's got the same squiggles in airbrush. But it also shows the framing of my mind.
Yeah.
Because it is complicated.
Yeah.
And I think the problem I've had with my engagement with galleries was not being too intense. Just stepping off it. I think I'm at the age where I'm like, okay, I think Woodbury House is a good fit because of where I'm at and where I want to go with it.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel that young art man, the young artist pressure where the gallery just sits there and squeezes them about it. I think there's a maturity to Woodbury House that I quite like. The stock of artists have already been seasoned. It's not their first rodeo. This isn't a kind of pop-up hype vibe. And I think that's a problem within the contemporary art world, because my longevity has spanned 40 years, 4 decades of doing the arts. I'm 60 in 2 weeks. I wouldn't bet against me doing a lot more art. Do you know what I mean?
It's very, very exciting times. So this wonderful collection we're launching to our existing collectors.
Yeah.
What type of demographic do you think are going to resonate with this type of art?
Well, I think young people that are like into vibrancy, and they're into the idea they can sit with it and it can expand in their own minds, and they don't have to think about it too much, but it's something that's like, why do I like that? And I think the idea of placement and what the arrow really means for their own direction. You know, young people are coming up, young footballers are coming up and trying to find direction and where they're going to go, which way they're heading. And I think that's one of the things that I think that arrows need their flowers in terms of that respect of we're all moving in this world so quickly right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's just really cool. In a Freudian aspect for me, it's like unwrapping sweets. It's like having something that if you like the color palette and you can unwrap it, it's something you can just stay there in your home.
Yeah.
And I think one of the initial basic ideas for this in the very beginning was how the first cake I ever got, it sounds really weird, at my grandma's house. I was in a foster home and my grandma came out with this cake, and it was like a cake, brown, but it had this candy on top, but it was shiny. And it was just it just felt like it was like the best tasting biscuit. I wanted to have the shininess of the outside, but then the matte finishing of the background.
Yeah.
So there's also that element for me of growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
Of what the good biscuit tasted like.
So to wrap up this conversation, we're now working together officially. We're very much looking forward to promoting this to our collectors.
Yeah.
What is next for Goldie?
Well, I've got this amazing Bowie collection, which I'm hoping this is a relationship that we're going to be growing into. I've been working with Kevin Cummins, who was with Bowie for many, many years. Alan Edwards, who's Bowie's manager and still runs Bowie's estate, has seen the initial prototype painting, loves it, and said, "You have my blessing, let's get these paintings done." I'm probably going to donate one to the V&A. I want to do 16, 17 pieces of Bowie. I have a great relationship with David when I was working with him, from recording with him, and I did a movie with him. And I want to honor him because I feel there's a lot of kind of Bowie stuff out there that it's okay. It's each to their own. But there's another side to David from a performance level, showing the character, showing his performance within some of these scenarios. Some of these pictures from these events are like, wow. He was in the moment, and capturing those moments within the style of the portraiture stuff that I've been doing for a long time, and revisiting portraiture after the arrows.
You can see the arrows, it lends itself to that David Bowie sort of look.
It's that idea of the zap, it's the idea of that. And I'm combining those two things now moving forward. There is a massive show at Festival Hall next year, 75-piece orchestra. I think it's the 23rd of May. And I'm showing 60 years of me. I'm 60 in a month, and 30 years of my music. So that's gonna be a very, very big show. And we want to be celebrating my art as a whole. And that's what we're doing.
Incredible. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to working with you,
God
sir.
bless.
And thank you for the sit-down conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Cheers.